Hey everyone, this is Man of a Thousand Thoughts, and this is a new segment I like to call Simple Thoughts. It's different from my normal videos because there'll be less editing and a lot more off script, and it's mainly going to be just about certain subjects that's just been on my mind as of recent. And it's mainly so I can have something to upload whenever I'm having a slow week or just kind of needed to get something out there. So it's not going to mess with my original schedule. But for now, it's mainly to have something whenever I'm just kind of not having inspiration for much. And it's just going to be that simple of a video. Nothing special. It's just not much editing. And like I said, mainly off script. And the main thing I want to talk about today is the Fantasia from Disney. Now, Fantasia, it's a very amazing film, honestly. It's just a big celebration of just pure art, honestly. And what I really liked was that it was so sophisticated and it took its audience so seriously. And the one criticism I would have about it is that it's very long. It's clocked in at like 2 hours, and that's kind of a trick to get by. It becomes kind of work because ultimately there's no dialogue, there's no story. They're all different segments of just like mini movies. So you kind of find yourself kind of tuning out a lot because it's like, okay, there's no dialogue. It's just pure visuals and classical music. And honestly, I like that, honestly, because you're just celebrating the idea of animation. You know, just celebrating pure animated art. And so, my thing about Fantasia is, I wanted to come back, honestly. My thing is, like, Fantasia was a perfect example of Disney trying new things and just trying as much as they can, experimenting. That was when Disney was the most experimental, in my opinion. I feel like Fantasia was where they were willing to just push as many boundaries as they can, try as many different things as they can. And that, in Fantasia, honestly, I feel like once they stopped doing it, that's when they started getting into the line of not trying to be as experimental. They were still, of course, great afterwards. They still had great movies like Cinderella and whatnot. But Fantasia, I feel like this was Disney trying to do new things and push new horizons, obviously. So I really would like for Disney to get back into that experimental phase. I like when they try to do new and different things. Like a good example for the TV shows is Gravity Falls. That was a show you look at, it's like, I did not think Disney would make something like this. This seemed like something maybe on Cartoon Network, maybe Nickelodeon, but for it to be on Disney of all things, it's like, holy crap. Like, you just find it kind of weird. And that's just what I feel Disney needs to be doing now, is experimenting, being crazy, being weird, going off script, not following formulas. And don't get me wrong, the movies that we get today are still great. Like, I love Zootopia. Moana was great. Obviously, Pixar is getting into that phase of getting itself together. Like recently, Finding Dory. It's clearly just Finding Nemo all over again. But it's still pretty good. It's still a pretty good film. I say it's pretty decent. And honestly, like I said in my Finding Dory review, is that I think it's kind of better than the first. Not by too much, but still, it's kind of up there, in my opinion. But I digress. I just like the idea of Fantasia because, honestly, the way they could do it now is bringing together different animators, having them create like new short films that are mainly supposed to be a big celebration of animation and art. Like sometimes it could be using classical music and fitting animation to fit and having animation that fits with the classical music. And sometimes you could even throw in just different genres. The one thing I would avoid is country and pop music and maybe even hip hop. But I feel like you can still get really good shorts out of this. Like, their strongest pieces were usually the ones that didn't really have a story. Like, they came back with Fantasia 2000, and that sucked because they kind of fucked that up, honestly, because it's like, why did we need celebrities? The original had just one guy just explain the segments, oh, and that's it. It was this one guy no one really knew, and I think that works better. It gave nice sophistication to this movie or to this project. When you decide to do pop culture references like with the celebrities, it's like, no, you're trying to make it more kid friendly. Why? Because Fantasia ultimately, that was more something adults would enjoy more, and not in the they say dirty jokes or anything like that, but more in a, it just kind of, it seems like something kids wouldn't be able to sit by and just enjoy. It seemed like something mostly adults would want to watch more than any kid. I think a kid could probably sit down and enjoy all the fantastic visuals, but I feel like Fantasia itself was something only adults would really comprehend the most, because it was something that was meant to invoke emotion, but in your, but the thing is, the emotions you feel, it's supposed to really culminate with the animation and with the music. And the music they used was classical music, so obviously I don't think a lot of kids would be like, oh, I really want to listen to Beethoven or Bach or anything like that. So, yeah, and I feel like they can bring it back and just do what they did with the first one, but this time around, invite different animators. You know, we have so many different animators around the world and whatnot. It's like, even you could even do that, something where it's a celebration of different cultural animations. That I feel that would be good. It's like, call up some animators from Russia, from China, America. I mean, from Japan, Mexico, all these different animation groups. It's like you could get them to come together and say, hey, we want to make a film. We want to make Fantasia. And I feel like they could keep it going in a sense. Like, they could have it every year, make it sort of like maybe an annual thing. Maybe. Like, you still have to get you'd have to rely on the animators to get it done and all that. But I would think that would still be a nice thing, because it would show Disney really wants to celebrate animation. And you can even celebrate different animation styles. You know, you could allow people to use rotoscope, allow people to use CGI, go back to using 2D animation. I would think that would look. I would want to see something like that. I would like Fantasia to make that comeback. I want Disney to do that, because that's Disney when they really were about celebrating animation and pushing as many boundaries as they possibly could. With the films nowadays, some of them push boundaries, but most of them still feel like, we're kind of borderlining. Zootopia, I love, it's great, but I can't help but feel it's on the lines of, we're still kind of playing it safe. You know, because when you look up what the original plans for Zootopia, they had plans where predators were gonna walk around with like shock collars and they couldn't emote or express major emotions without getting a shock. Like, even just getting a little too excited about anything, just a bit giddy, could get you a shock. Like, if you watch just some of the deleted scenes from Zootopia, it's like, Jesus, this was gonna be kind of a dark movie. They mainly changed it up though, because they tested it with audiences, and their main criticism they got was, you want me to like this city. I can't, because this city is segregated because of the shock collars. So they ultimately ditched it. And it's like, I can understand that, but I still feel like that idea would work. I feel like that idea would work, and honestly, I would want them to try that, because it's like, it's experimental, it's new, it's different, it's not something you've really seen. It really could hit home. But maybe they could do it again if it was like a prequel, but I digress. I just really like Disney when they really were trying to be trying as many different things as they possibly could. Like, when they were trying as hard as they could to really make a name for themselves. I feel like that's when you got probably a lot of their best works. Like, even in the Disney Renaissance, that was them that was still them experimenting. Like, especially once they got with Pixar. It's like, okay, this is our big foray into 3D animation. It's like, and we got Toy Story from it, and the industry was completely changed from this movie. It's like, yes, Disney, that's what I want, is when you get industry changing movies and shows and whatnot. That's what I want to happen from Disney, is for them to get back into that industry innovative state, for them to try to push as many boundaries as they possibly can. And ultimately, I just feel like it probably would be a while, because Disney, their main thing is trying to just play it safe and keep as much, just make as much money as they can. So it's like, follow the formula and you'll be set. Because with Zootopia, it's like they weren't gonna follow a formula. I tell you now, they were not. If you buy the book, The Art of Zootopia, and even look up like through the deleted scenes of what their original ideas were, it's like, this movie sounds honestly more interesting than what we got. What we got was still great, but what we could have gotten would have been probably a lot more interesting. I feel like that's just one thing I want Disney to get back to. Like their most recent thing, Moana, that really was following a Disney formula to a T. Not to say that was bad, it was a great movie too. But it's still like, you clearly are following a movie making recipe here. Like, you're following your own recipe. And it still turned out a great product, obviously. But it's like, you're clearly kind of playing it safe here. But nonetheless, I still feel like I just want Disney to get back to that experimental phase. I want them to really try and do new things, push new horizons, really challenge its viewers as much as it can. Because I feel like when you don't really challenge your viewers, they don't have much of a reason to want to come back. You know, it's just because it's great to have eye candy every once in a while, but at one point you want eye food. You know, you want something that has substance, some protein to it, something that, you know, it's gonna last with you. Make you feel different, make you feel like you're a different person after watching it, something like that. I would want them to get back to that phase. And I don't know, it's probably just wishful thinking, and maybe Disney down the road will get back to that. Right now, they're mainly in the phase of letting Marvel and Star Wars hold their hand while they just kind of glide along. It's like, since they acquired all these different studios, like, yeah, that's what's just gonna keep us afloat most of the time. And I'm not mad, don't get me wrong. The Marvel Universe is great. The Star Wars movies are great. So we're not getting anything bad out of it, and Pixar's starting to pick it up. I'm interested in Coco. I do not know what the fuck to expect from Cars 3. Like, I don't know. It's like, maybe you get it right. Maybe you get it right. But at the same time, maybe you get it wrong. So, I don't know. I'm just hoping Disney gets back to that experimental side and try to be challenging for its audiences. You know, I like when they can appeal to both kids and adults, but I also like it when sometimes they want to mainly appeal to the adults and not have to do stupid dirty jokes or anything like that. They just know, okay, we make something a little bit more sophisticated. That's what Fantasia was. It was very sophisticated. When they brought it back for 2000, it's like, it's just like, what is this? Why the celebrities? Why Penn and Teller? Why Steve Martin? Why? Ugh. It's like, it just didn't need to have celebrities. It's like, I say, if you're gonna have a celebrity, make it either be like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Morgan Freeman. Those are the only two I will grant you, because they can bring sophistication to it. I could listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson introduce these type of animations, or Morgan Freeman even. Like, I think that would be interesting to watch. So it's like, if you have to put a big name on there, I say Neil deGrasse Tyson or Morgan Freeman. If you have to. If not, hire just some random schmo who's just, you know, just looks sophisticated and can play it off very well and introduce the animated segments very well. I really want Fantasia to come back. I want them to do that. I think it would work very well. But yeah, that's mainly my thoughts on the whole thing. And if you're new here, make love to that subscribe button and tingle with that little bell as well to be notified of new videos. And just remember, it's just a thought.
party, so you can rock this party. Electricity, tune in the frequency, let's set your circuits free.